says the truth doesn't need you to believe it. The truth simply is. And it survives whether you believe it or not. Lies need you to believe them. If you don't believe lies, they don't survive your skepticism and they simply disappear.
Mm, I love that. This is just like you don't have to defend your boundaries. You don't have to defend what you know to be true, right? If it is true, it is true. And even if no one else believes it but you, it is still true. Welcome to the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast, where you master your mind and coach your own comeback. You are the hero, you are the guide, and you will learn to architect your life from the inside. I'm your host, Britannia Stowe, joined by my sister and co host, Annika Wilder. Enjoy the show. A couple of months ago, we introduced the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. These agreements are not rules that are meant to restrict you. They are commitments designed to release you from the beliefs and the patterns that no longer serve you. They help you move towards something many of us are quietly seeking: freedom. Freedom to be authentic, freedom from unnecessary suffering, and freedom from the stories that keep us stuck. Today, we're building on that foundation by introducing the Fifth Agreement, written by Don Miguel Ruiz and his son, Don Jose. The first four agreements focus on how we behave, and the fifth agreement focuses on how we see. We are also welcoming back Annika Wilder, back for the fifth agreement. Annika, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited because this feels like it's like a little secret piece of knowledge. Like we have the Four Agreements, which was this awesome book that is now open to everybody. But did you hear about the fifth agreement? That's what it feels
Yeah,
like.
exactly. Because I know I didn't learn about it until relatively recently. So I do think it is a secret. So that's why I'm so excited we're talking about it today.
Me too. So should we go over the Four Agreements super fast and kind of do a little refresher?
Yes. Okay. So, in case you missed it, we did do an episode a few months ago on the four agreements. So, just some high level highlights. This comes from Toltec wisdom, and Toltec means artist. So, to be a Toltec means to live like an artist. And there are three Toltec masteries: the mastery of awareness. Awareness opens you to countless possibilities. The mastery of transformation, which is really, unlearning all the things that you learned through your life and coming back to that authentic self. And then, of course, the mastery of love, also known as intent or faith. By mastering these, you become closer to your creator, higher power, or God. And these agreements that we're about to go over will help guide you through your mastery. So, Annika, do you want to help hit the first agreement?
Absolutely. I love the Four Agreements. This is, like she said, this is Toltec wisdom, which is basically ancient Mexico. And so there is just ancient wisdom all around the world. And this is something that we live by. So there are four agreements. The first one is be impeccable with your word. This is like making sure that you're being careful what you say. Say what you mean what you say. Your words create your reality. Speak with integrity, speak with intention. Watch your thoughts because your thoughts become your words. And just really be intentional with what you say. Instead of being reactionary, think about how your thoughts create your reality, what you say creates your reality, and just be very intentional. So that's what be impeccable with your word is that first agreement.
Yeah, because your words are really powerful,
Hmm.
especially the ones you say to yourself.
Yes, exactly.
The second agreement is don't take anything personally. This was the one that hit the most home for me because I struggled with this for such a long time. And it's very simple. It's exactly what it says. Don't take it all personally. It's not all about you. What other people say or do is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of their world. And so letting go that when something goes wrong or someone doesn't show up for you or an interaction doesn't go the way you want, it's not because you necessarily did anything. So let it go. It's not all about you.
Yeah, and the more you realize it's not about you, the more your eyes open up and you realize how many other people take things personally. And it's very interesting to see. It's kind of like what you focus on expands. And so when you realize it's like a practice. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't come right away, but as you practice, it becomes easier. And that third agreement is don't make assumptions. Assumptions create misunderstanding and unnecessary conflict. This kind of goes with don't take anything personally, like you are assuming it's about you, you're jumping to conclusions, you have other cognitive distortions that can change what you think about the other person or the situation, and you're totally blowing things out of proportion. You don't want to assume someone's out to get you. You don't want to assume ill intent. You don't want to assume good intent. You don't want to assume anything. You want to just hear what they're saying and take it as is and remember that they are living their reality and whatever they are doing and how they are acting is because of them and not because of you.
Absolutely. And the fourth agreement is always do your best. So again, it's that simple. Just do your best. Show up and give 100%, 100% of the time, knowing that your 100% today may not look the same as yesterday or tomorrow, because this changes from day to day. Maybe you got sleep, maybe you didn't, maybe you're going through a hard time. Just do your best. And if you know you've done your best, then you can rest easy that you have shown up to the best of your ability. So that's what it's all about, is showing up to the best of your ability, not necessarily what that looks like to anybody else.
And these four agreements help you to become more self-aware. They help you to clean up your behavior, so to speak, and your reactions, so you're not so reactionary. It helps you to be more centered and grounded. And but even practicing, people still will struggle, and so the lens of the world may become distorted, right? And so
Mhm.
that's where the fifth agreement comes in.
Exactly. And you hinted towards it just a little bit ago when you said, how we see the world and not everything we hear is what it is, right? So the fifth agreement is be skeptical, but learn to listen. I'm going to say it one more time. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. That is the fifth agreement. It's about perception and truth, the perception of truth. And it encourages two incredibly powerful skills: one, healthy skepticism, and two, deep listening. So, what this means is there's so much information that we're getting from the outside world, but also from our internal world. And we need to question the information we receive. So, this includes the thoughts that pop into your head, because not everything you hear is true, and not everything you think is true either.
This is so important because this is something I say all the time. Your thoughts will lie to you. This is something people need to understand. Your thoughts will lie to you. Your thoughts are not truth. They are a perception of truth. And what other people say or think about you or perceive of you are perceptions. They are not truth. And you do not have to believe everything. And notice that Britannia said healthy skepticism, not just don't be skeptical about the whole world. Think positively. Let's be optimistic, but let's have a dose of healthy skepticism.
Yes, yeah, we're not saying be cynical. That is something different altogether. See, we are born with this power of creation. We come into this earth through creation, right? And the whole world and our experience, there's creation all around us. The food we eat, the trees we walk by, the children we bear. And part of this creation energy are our imaginations. We have powerful imaginations, and we can create the story of our lives. This is good and bad because you can create your reality. But if some of those thoughts that are coming in are not true and you take them as true, you can also create a harmful reality. You see things uniquely you. So, Annika, you and I are sisters. We come from the same, we're 100% sisters, blood sisters. Yet your perception of the world is different than mine. We may have some overlap, but you see things differently than I see them. You may even hear things differently than I hear them.
I mean, even just yesterday, I texted you. I said, "What do you think of the name Abigail?" Because, one day you want a girl, and that name popped in my mind. And you're like, yeah, I don't like it. And I was like, really? I like it. And just that doesn't mean Abigail's a bad name. It's
Mm.
just a name. And
Mhm.
one of us likes it and one of us doesn't like it.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong here. As
Mhm.
artists, like Toltec means artist, we get to paint our own picture. Their art is subjective. You can look at a piece of art and say that's ugly, and another person could fall in love with it and then sell it for $50,000.
Yeah, or
You know,
more.
right, millions. There's art that sells for millions. And some people hate it, some people love it. Is it right? Is it wrong? No, it's just art. It's how they perceive the world, it's how they create. And everyone is individual in that way.
Yeah, because every mind is a world. Every mind is a masterpiece, and every world is created. So when we talk about skepticism, healthy skepticism, it's necessary because our words, we talk about being impeccable with your word, agreement one, our words and our perceptions of their meaning distort the truth. So, you create this idea of what you think the world is, and you start to see through that lens. And so that's what we're saying here is be skeptical of how you are viewing, what glasses you are wearing. You've heard of wearing rose-colored glasses and everything's just rosy and happy. Well, you can, wear chaotic glasses and angry glasses and victim mode glasses. And so that's what we're saying here is have some healthy skepticism because humans distort reality. We just do it. It's a gift. It's a gift that we have, and it can serve us, but can also hurt us. This is through our own personal dreams. This is what the writer talks about, our perception, our lens, our reality. These are our dreams or our subjective interpretations of reality.
hmm And then there's these beliefs that we have like harvested in who we are in our souls. And where do these beliefs come from? I mean, we talked about this a little bit before, that they come from childhood cultural beliefs, family narratives, labels from teachers. I mean, anyone can create a belief in you if you agree with it. This is something that we talked pretty deeply in the Four Agreements episode. I recommend listening to that one because we talk about where those beliefs come from and how we choose to believe them or not. But that's something that affects this agreement too, is if you have a belief in something, then you may or may not be skeptical. You may not question it because you have a belief. So this is also about being open too, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can hear someone say, Annika, you're not good at math, or you're way too emotional, or you need to play it safe. Don't take so many risks in life. Or you're only successful if you have a lot of money. You're not successful if you have a family, whatever that might be. And when you hear those things that other people say that are reflections of their stories and their realities, you can agree with them or you can disagree. If you agree, they become an agreement and they become a part of your belief system. And each of us have those internal agreements and we're not always aware of them. And so we stop questioning them at a young age. They're given to us. And so we're encouraging you to question what you actually take for truth. You may be mistaken, and what you believe to be true can be wrong. And I think this is really hard for people who do have strong beliefs is that, no, no, I believe this. I've always believed this. I've always been this way. No, no, no. Just because you've always believed it, just because you've always been this way, because your mother believed it and your grandmother believed it, does not make it true. And this is what we call the first attention. So, in the Toltec teachings, the first attention is the world that you were taught. This is the world that you are conditioned into and spilt from family, culture, society. It's often called the dream of the planet. And it's this shared illusion by everyone who buys into it. And it's very common and it's normal. And that I want to say that too is just because you have some of these beliefs that are no longer true, or you've now realized that they're not true. They've always not been true, but you're now coming to that awareness. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. This is a natural progression as you go through your experience or your dream of reality.
hmm I think one of the most limiting things somebody can say is, this is just who I am.
Mm, yeah.
Like I'm just a sickly person. I'm just talkative. I'm just, you know, Carol Tuttle's one of her types or one of the Enneagrams or one of like I'm just a Virgo. It's like they're just accepting it for what it is instead of questioning it and say, yeah, I'm a Virgo, but I'm also improving on those weaknesses or
Yeah.
these things. You don't have to just accept it of like this is just who I am. And another a great book is Limitless by Jim Quick. He talks a lot very deeply into challenging the beliefs that you had created as a child because he believed he was stupid and that he couldn't learn. And someone helped him challenge that. And now he's like a multimillionaire teaching people how to learn faster, how to read faster, has written books. And you would look at him and say, you know how to learn. But as a
Mhm.
kid, he didn't. And if he just said, I just don't know how to learn, I'm just stupid, where would he be now if he believed it?
Yeah. Well, exactly. And to me, these are excuses. For that friend who's like, "Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm just blunt." Okay, but you are blunt because you were maybe told that you were blunt. Maybe you've seen that echoed in your, reality in your home, and you agreed that this is how we talk to each other. At some point, you have to stop blaming your parents or your upbringing for how you are and start taking accountability for how you want to be.
100%. So let's talk about how we don't want to believe everything that you think. I think we talked a little bit about this before. I think it's actually 60,000 thoughts a day that we think, and most of them are negative. Like 80 to 90% of them are repetitive, and the other ones, like 70 to 80% of those are negative. So we have repetitive thoughts and negative thoughts, and a lot of them are fear-based, outdated, reactive, conditioned. I mean, these like people they are so unaware of their own thoughts, they don't realize they're thinking the same thoughts they thought a month ago over and over and over and over, and they're not very good thoughts.
You're right. And maybe you start to notice that, like, oh gosh, I do think this a lot, but I feel like I have no control. And I'm still having these same thoughts of, I will never find love. I'm never good enough to get paid what I'm worth. People don't really like me, whatever these stories are. And so the fifth agreement encourages the skepticism toward your inner narrative. Instead of automatically believing that thought, when you start to build awareness to it, you can start to ask, is this fact? Am I really never going to find love? Or is this just a thought that is passing through? And the small pause of questioning and being skeptical of your thoughts can be a dramatic shift in how you show up in your life. It will reduce your anxiety. It will stop self-sabotage. But if you don't stop and question those things will increase, and even your mental health can suffer.
Exactly. So we talked about the first attention. What would the second attention be?
So the second attention, also known as the dream of the warriors, which I love. Anything warrior and fierce is, my vibe.
Mhm.
And maybe this is why I'm so called to self-help and being the best version of myself, because the second attention is about transformation. So, this is when you start to question your beliefs, and you may be at that place where you're just starting to go, wait a second. I don't have to live this way. I don't have to be shown how to be. I can actually decide that for myself. And this transformation, you start to question beliefs. And this can be scary because this can be an identity shift. And with this identity shift, you all of a sudden, the foundation of you is rocky. And this can feel a lot of anxiety can come up, and people are like, oh no, anxiety is bad. Run away, stay safe. But actually, this anxiety is good because you are now facing something you've never faced before. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of fear of letting go of your old self to start becoming your new self. This is where you're letting go of how you've been programmed by your family, your teachers, or society. And you start to become a little more intentional with your thoughts, your words, and your actions.
hmm So fear can be very limiting, but doubt can be actually very powerful. Doubt is a powerful tool because most of what you hear isn't true because people speak what, like in the fifth agreement, he says people speak in symbols and interpretations, perceptions of reality, and most of which are not true. This is coming from their own dream, their own reality. So doubt what you think to be true. Remember, conflict and chaos does not live in the same place as truth. Doubt your doubts. What does this mean, Britannia? This is a note that you had. What does it mean to
Yes,
doubt your
to
doubts?
doubt your doubts. So I remember from a young age, we were told that doubts will come into our head and we should doubt those. So, Don doesn't actually talk about this in his book, but I think it's important to touch on. So, as you start to build, your awareness and you're starting to transform, you're in your warrior phase, you're going to start to have doubts about, do I have to be blunt? Do I always want to be poor? Am I capable of love? And then as you go down these roads, you might go, actually, yeah, maybe I'm not capable of love. Yeah, maybe, you know what? Yeah, maybe I'm just meant to be poor. My family's always been poor. And so I'm encouraging you that even throughout your journey, you're going to have ideas that come up and you're in a higher awareness. So you think that as a higher awareness that your thoughts are more true, but that is not the case. Even as you propel yourself through this transformation, I would say your doubts might even come in more intensely because your brain is desperately trying to keep you safe. So as you go down your journey and you're starting to doubt your transformation, doubt this new identity, I want you to doubt those doubts.
Mm. This is why having a coach or coaching yourself is so powerful because this is something that I struggled with was imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a very powerful doubt. It's a doubt in yourself that you belong where you are. For me, I am a real estate agent. I'm a realtor and I thought I don't look like a realtor. I don't look or talk like a realtor. I had major imposter syndrome, which was a doubt in my ability to play the part essentially. And then somebody just started questioning because I was stuck in my doubt spiral. I wasn't questioning myself, which is what we are saying. Be skeptical of your own thoughts. But
Mhm.
someone else questioned and said, well, what does a realtor look like? And I was like, well, um, yeah. And I was like tripping over my words. I couldn't even, I had this perception that I don't look like a realtor. And they're like, well, what does a realtor look like? And then I had the flash of all these people and they all looked different. Some in t-shirts, some in suits, some in dresses, some more like not very modest, some very modest. Like they're all different. Like, what does a realtor look like? It looks like you.
Exactly. Exactly. And so sometimes you need that outside perspective, and you can give yourself that outside perspective when you say things out loud. But also, when you hear things out loud, you need to truly listen. And the second half of the agreement is just as important. While we remain skeptical of the information that's coming in, we must learn to listen. Listening means let go of judgment, reactions, defending, or even projecting your own interpretation of what they're saying. Listen to the words that they say and how they say them. When we truly listen, we start to hear perspectives and experiences, emotions, and truths that maybe we have not considered. And when I say listen, I mean, a lot of what we say is in how we say it. And that means our voice and our body language, right? So that the packaging and how things are being said does matter. And we need to look at each of those to gain a better understanding of what is being said.
hmm This is what I call hearing versus listening. When we're just hearing, we hear the words and they go in and out, and then we have our own perceptions. We react, we take things personally, we're making assumptions, and it changes the way we view this person. Instead, if we're being skeptical and we're challenging what they're saying and we're challenging our thoughts and we're not taking anything personally or making assumption and we're truly listening to what they're saying, you will understand that these people whoever's talking to you, close to you, acquaintances, spouses, sisters, whoever it is, they have their own reality. They have their own dream. And what they are saying is because of their own reality. They are in their own head, in their own perception. And so the four agreements help you clean up your actions and reactions, like we said before. The fifth agreement helps you clean up your lens. This helps you create better understanding because the way you see the world shapes everything, relationships, opportunities, your emotional state, your decisions. When your lens is distorted by assumptions or beliefs, reality becomes distorted too. So the fifth agreement helps bring clarity and understanding when you are really listening to somebody else and you realize, oh, they feel this way not because of me. They feel this way because of their childhood, or they feel this way because of something at work, or they're just hungry. They're not actually mad at me. They just need food.
Yeah. Yes, that's usually me. It's just give me food or sleep. That's usually what my problem is.
Exactly.
And this is part of the third attention, right? The mastery of love or pure awareness. This is a deeper spiritual state. You are no longer controlled by fear or ego or conditioning. Your experience, your inner peace, you get to experience presence and freedom from attachment. You see reality clearly without distortion, without anyone else's perceptions or ideologies, without social media, without your parents, even without your own thoughts. You can actually strip away the BS, so to speak, and start living fully awake and aligned.
Mhm. I love this because you will see it the more you practice the four agreements and the fifth agreement, you will gain greater understanding of the world around you and the people in it. And this will help you rise above. Like you said, you become awakened. And once you become awakened and you become like this master of these three things, you can't undo it. You don't all of a sudden go back to being blind and going back to being reactionary. Like you have trained yourself. One, you can't unsee what you have seen. And so hopefully this is an introduction to something that will open up your whole life because we are walking around living in fear. We're unaware of our own thoughts. We are not understanding the people in our lives. We're not listening to their hearts and what they are really trying to say because we're focused on our own reactions. We're making assumptions. We're doing all of these things. So hopefully this plants a seed that will help you practice these things that will awaken your soul. And I promise you, it gets better and better. First, it's hard, but as you realize and as you become aware, all of a sudden it's like this whole universe opens up and you're a lot more calm because you have an awakened mind, an opened third eye chakra. I mean, your heart is in it and you see things with understanding and with love.
Oh, you said that so beautifully. I hope that this helps, that you're listening to this podcast with curiosity and with open awareness. And as you go into the Coach Yourself segment, I just have a couple of reflection questions that can help you get there. If you're in the middle of your warrior attention, you're ready to transform, here are some questions that you can ask yourself. What beliefs about myself have I never questioned? What might I be believing a story that is actually true? When was the last time I truly listened to someone without immediately forming a response? And what assumptions might be shaping my current challenges? One or more of these may be resonating with you. I encourage you to just start with the first one. What beliefs about myself have I never questioned? This doesn't mean that if you have beliefs you've never questioned, that they're automatically wrong, that they're automatically not true, but question them. Never question them. Now is the time. And one of two things will happen. You will either realize they are not true and you will help set yourself free, or you will realize they are true and you can double down your belief. So this week, I encourage you to notice if a strong emotion appears, to pause and ask, what am I telling myself? Is this fact? Is this interpretation? Is this true? Is this story? So allow yourself to just notice and then ask these questions. Just a small moment of curiosity can change everything. The fifth agreement invites us to live with awareness, to stay curious instead of reactive, to question stories that limit us, and to listen deeply to the world around us. Remember, Don't believe everything you think, and don't reject everything you hear. This has been another episode of the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, subscribe and share the love. And remember the teachings of Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Until next time, trust yourself. Take the wisdom, take the breath, and take the next step.